G'day everyone, Turbo Tristan here. In this episode, we are getting back onto the Evo again. We've got a bunch more little tiny 1%er jobs. So all the small stuff that needs to be done is getting done on the engine. I'm still waiting on a couple of little bits and pieces. Stick around, I'll show you what those are. Plus we've got a really awesome surprise and unboxing part on the car, which you guys are gonna love. I think it's really cool. And it's all thanks to Pro Speed Racing. So a few weeks ago we discussed the oil pump, the fact that I've cleaned it all up, I've ordered the gaskets and I'm waiting for those and I can slap it all back together. We talked about doing a balance shaft delete, which is what this is here, and there's a second balance shaft which I've got in my box of tricks somewhere. It's basically this thing here, and they rotate against each other, so one will go this way, one will go the other way, and these weights sort of shake, and then with the crank spinning at the same time, they balance each other out. So with the crank moving, creates a certain vibration, and then with these spinning the other way will sort of even out the balance of the vibrations and all that sort of stuff. Now that is a fantastic thing for a daily driver and also for making a production car. They also have balance shafts in the K series, and one of the most popular mods to do is change to a K20 oil pump. They reduce a lot of the noise, vibration, harshness, or NVH. One thing by getting rid of rotating mass, so these are all driven off the crank or the gears or whatnot, is it frees up crank power, so power at the crank, and it also frees up the ability to be able to rev the engine. Once you get to a certain amount of revs and you're running balance shafts, you're running gears in here, you're running a second one, plus you're running an oil system which is feeding bearings in here, just like the crank bearings. There's some round bearings here, up the back, and then down here and in the middle. You're covering all those things, and it just takes away from the oil pressure in the engine, also the ability for the engine to rev up quickly, so to get to redline really fast. It'll build up slowly because it's turning more things in the puzzle. So what we're going to do to combat that is our good friends at Pro Speed Racing in Sydney have jumped on board and they've helped me out. I buy everything from them. It's not a full sponsorship, but they've looked after me and helped me out to purchase the Kelford Cams Balance Shaft Delete Kit. Now I've run Kelford cams in my GTRs. I've run them in a couple of other cars as well. I'm not touching the camshafts in here. Again, we're not going for crazy power in this. It's going to be an OEM plus. So we probably want 20, 30, 40% more power at the max. And just to make things a little bit smoother and reliable, I always say, if you're gonna modify something, always make it better. So we've got this guy, and this is a balance shaft delete. Now there's a couple of different types you can get. You can get ones which are basically just cut off right at the end here, and they just run this piece, which goes just into the oil pump. And then you can pretty much even just cut that off just there at the shaft. But doing that without anything to help balance that out, the shaft, all the pressure with the gears is going to be on this little area, and it's going to move a lot. Whereas if you have a rod through there, the crank pressure on the gear, it's going to hold it stable. It's not going to move, which is why I selected this one and not the stumpy one. Both are good, but this one I think is better to keep the car reliable for longer. Now in this kit comes with just some information about it, packaging, etc. Nothing exciting, but you also get 3 bearings. Now these are to help block off where you're not going to be running a balance shaft anymore, and to just replace the one in there where you are running the balance shaft, because as this is spinning in the engine, it needs lubrication. The other ones, you can do it a couple of different ways. You can move the bearing and just turn it slightly so the oil's not getting through the hole. So you can do that. And there's 2 of those in this side and 1 in this side, which is why you've got the 3 bearings. These all still have the lubrication hole, but you've just got to make sure you put the right one in and offset the wrong ones. So we're going to do that today. I can't fit it up and show you the full install because I still don't have my gaskets. They had to come from on the other side of the world, I'm assuming. but this has also a spacer which goes on the nose of the crank and replaces the little gear which drives the belt, which drives the second balance shaft. So we're deleting that, so we're freeing up this. And even though this is a brand new seal that I put in a couple of weeks ago, we're going to knock it out and put this blanking seal in here, and that is going to make sure no oil gets out of this space here where the balance shaft was. So the way I'm going to combat this is I'm going to find a impact socket that is around about this diameter, or I could use the spare balance shaft that I've already taken out and use that to tap out the old bearings. There's also some grub screws I've noticed on the back. Now, a couple of videos that I've checked out online of this is people just knock them out, put new ones in. But for some reason, there's grub screws here. Now, I believe that these are to hold these in to stop these spinning. So I'm going to undo these, do a bit of investigation, see what they do. If they loosen these and they just pull out, that'll be even easier. If that's the case, and I'll report back. So I'm going to go do some learning by trial and error, and I'm going to try fit these up, and I'll tell you what I find. It wasn't glamorous. I'm not sure how professional Evo engine builders do this all the time, but I just used these little 44 mil presses from the drill press or the bearing press, and then there's, where is it? On the end of this press bar, this sort of slides over like so, and then you screw in on the end and push that in. And I just sort of tapped them out. 2 of the 3 came out pretty easily. 1 didn't. I had to smack it around a bit, but it's all fine. And the inside of the block will get a thorough clean before I put the fresh bearings in there. Interestingly, they are seemingly different sizes, so I'm going to have to find the ones that fit correctly. And when I put them in on the wrong way so that they block the oil gallery. So what I'm going to do now is just clean out the surface where the bearing goes with some brake cleaner, give it a really thorough clean and a wipe down, and same thing with the outside of these bearings. So there's nothing that's going to stop them sliding in. There is a little bit of a sticky residue on here, so we're going to clean that off to make sure that everything fits in just fine. And I might actually chuck these in the freezer real quick, give them 10 minutes in the freezer just to make them as small as possible once I've cleaned them. Gently tap them in this time. You don't have to be so gentle tapping them out, but tapping them in, we're going to be very gentle. Alrighty, so that is now on, and what you would have seen in the time lapse is me start to put it back together and realize, duh, I didn't put any Vaso or any assembly lube in there. So I pulled it apart, quickly caked on some Vaso. The reason you do that is so there's something in there. It creates a vacuum for the oil pump, and also the assembly lube for lubricating the shaft. So that's done, that's in there, and I've also replaced this block off seal here, so that's good to go. I just need to go get the bearings out of the freezer and tap them in very gently now and make sure they're in the correct way. One will be still getting oil and the other 2 will be blocking off the oil. Doing a balance shaft delete is a mod I definitely recommend you do, and I definitely recommend you check out Pro Speed Racing to grab yourself your balance shaft delete kit. However, if you've never done anything like this before and you've never changed them in an Evo, it is pretty stressful. The tolerances to press these in are extremely tight. Luckily I had the old ones and the new ones, and I managed to, between them, get them in. It's not something that I would recommend someone that's a intermediate or a beginner to do. This is definitely an expert level install. At least it felt like that for me. So I'm going to seal this back up now, cover it over. It's still got a couple of, maybe a week or so left until I can reseal it all back up and wait for those gaskets. But I am glad that we did this mod. This weighs about the same as one of these. So we've taken out 2 of these and we've put this back in. So I definitely recommend deleting these. Is a definite mod that you should definitely do on your Evo. This is exactly what it looks like. Yep, we've got a full NVIDIA stainless steel exhaust system to go under the Evo. Much better than that rusty, crusty one that we had before. It was mild steel, nothing wrong with mild steel exhausts. They sound pretty good, but it was rusted out. It was poorly made, it hung down too low, and it had a massive hole in it. And there was no cat. It was just ugly. So now we're going to stick on an NVIDIA performance exhaust system, but first I'm going to grab me some gloves. Don't want to get any oil fingerprints all over this when I whip it out. Alrighty, now the box is already open. Of course it is. I've had this for about 3 weeks. Just before Christmas it rocked up. This one came from Pro Speed Racing, which, like I mentioned, we're doing a bit of work with. They jumped on board to help me afford to do this build. Like I said earlier, I still bought everything. The website is really easy to use. So just jump on there, select your vehicle, and off you go. Really, really good site. Comes with all new gaskets, all new bolts, and the sickest stickers, which we're going to keep and stick somewhere. Now, because we don't even have an engine in the car, what's the point of putting on an exhaust? Well, I want something to do, I want something that looks good, and I want to start getting parts off my shelves on the car. So we're going to do all the way up to the cat back, which is going to be somewhere about here. It's going to give me plenty of room to work on the front of the car, and it's going to give me something good to look at in the back of the car. So let's pull it all out piece by piece. You know, this is quality when the packaging has its own name on it. Now, I haven't taken any of this out of the packaging before, but I did open the box and have a squeeze. I even put the cardboard over the end so it doesn't get damaged. And we've gone with the titanium tip, which is sort of cut at a bit of an angle. Looks sick. Now, because I don't want to put this on my concrete, now that I've unwrapped it, I'm going to just stick this in the factory hangers, piece by piece. Let's whip out the next part, which is going to be this slip joint and bend. And look at the flanges on there. Beautiful, perfect welds.
So this guy's going to bolt to the midsection, which is here. Oh, it goes up there.
NVIDIA, a world leader in the field of high-performance automotive exhaust, offers serious motorsports enthusiasts a rare combination of top-quality materials, superb craftsmanship. The NVIDIA engineering philosophy, based on 2 decades of experience, is one of continuous refinement, constant improvement through engineering innovation. Well, that sticker looks cool. I'm not sure if it's going to melt off there. Comment below if you think I should remove this sticker before we go any further. Alrighty, once I worked out the jigsaw puzzle, I'm just stupid. I flipped it around. There's a heat shield up here. and I thought that was for the hot dog resonator, but it's actually for the cat, so me dumb. But we flip this around. It's ready to take the second part from the back, which is this guy, which we unwrapped earlier. That's going to slip in here and mount up to this flange. So let me get my third pair of hands, which is my exhaust stand, some gaskets, and the clamp to slip this on. And I'm going to tighten this up and show you what it looks like because I need all my hands. This is going to look so awesome though, and as you can see by the look on my face, I'm pretty chuffed to have this on. It's looking like a car again, and we don't have any crusty bits. This NVIDIA exhaust system is top shelf. Let's get it on. Now, part of me would like to TIG this up, since it's a nice snug fit and it's nice and close, but you never know, it might come on and off a few times. Probably good to have this adjustability and make sure that we can pull it apart again and it's not huge. Maybe if we go to the track or something and put a straight pipe, who knows, but I think this looks awesome. I can't wait for the car to actually be running so we can hear it. There's plenty of clearance around everything, which was one thing I was worried about. If I had made my own exhaust, this would have taken me a whole week. It would not be this nice, and it would cost me probably exactly the same amount of money, I reckon, including time and parts. I reckon if you can find an exhaust system for your car that's pre-made, that bolts on, and you can do it yourself at home, I highly, highly recommend that you do that. Even though everyone wants a custom exhaust, and you know, unless you've got something serious going on in your car that's totally unique to that type of car, or a totally unique swap, always get an off-the-shelf exhaust system because it's going to fit better, it's going to be easier, and it's going to be cheaper. We all want more money in our pockets at the end of the day. So I'm just going to keep nipping this up and fiddle around with it and stare at my handiwork, and I'll show you what it looks like. Righty, that's not all we bought. We did get the complete full exhaust system. I've just gone through and opened everything up so it's quicker on camera. But we actually got 6 hectic rainbow chrome decals. Usually you spend a couple of grand, you might get 1 sticker. Not with NVIDIA, they give you 6 stickers, so that's absolutely awesome. They're definitely going on the hoist, and we might sneak one onto the car. Now, part of this kit that I was adamant on getting, it's an option, you don't have to run it, but in Australia, I recommend you definitely do run it. So this is part of the ProSpeed / NVIDIA kit for the Evos. It is a high flow, I think that is a 100 or a 200 cell cat. Details on the ProSpeed website, I'm pretty sure it's 200 cell, but a high flow 3-inch cat, which is going to help keep the cops off your tail, as well as keep Greta Thunberg happy, and you're not going to get yourself a $10,000 fine, because in Australia, yep, that's right, overseas viewers, if you don't run this in your car, $10,000 on the spot fine, defect your car, lots and lots of headaches. Now we also have a full front pipe that goes from the base of the turbo, or from the dump pipe all the way back to the cat, and then it joins up with the rest of the system that you can see here. But this is the part that, no matter how good you are on the tools, you're just gonna have to buy one. This is an NVIDIA downpipe or dump pipe, and it is cast stainless steel. So it's been properly designed and forged. It's super duper high flow, massive port for the wastegate, massive port for the turbo, down to a 3-inch at the bottom, and there's a spot for your wideband O2. We're going to go through this and unbox that when we're putting it on the car. Once the turbo comes back from being high flowed, we'll use that and sit it all on the vehicle. And I'll sit it all on the engine and bolt everything up before it goes in the car, so it's a lot easier to get to and we don't scratch up that engine bay. So I'm going to pack away all of this for now. Let's take a look at the exhaust and I'll show you what it looks like so far. I'm very, very happy with it. Instead of me taking a week to make it, I just opened a box and there it was. And definitely saved money by buying one off the shelf. All right, here she is, Don't mind that the actual car and the paint on the car is disgusting and filthy. But here is the exhaust. Titanium blue tip cut at an angle. And there we have it. 3-inch, nice and high flowing, nice smooth bends too. The other one was out here, 90 degree, and restrictive. This one is much more free flowing and clears everything nicely. These beautiful cast stainless steel flanges, look at those, look at the welds. Damn, boys. With the slip joint, I've put the V-band on the back so you can't really see it. There's still tons of space, not gonna knock or rattle on everything. So that's all sweet. Underneath here, it's miles away from the drive shaft. Heaps of room there. It can't hit anything, plenty of clearance, and that's where the cat's gonna go, right there with the heat shield. I wish I zinc coated this actually, but we can't all be awesome and do that. And then the other part of it's gonna go here after the cat, and then boom, out of the turbo. So I'm very, very chuffed with that. One more thing, off my floor and up on the car, so that's excellent. Okay, so it's been about a week since I picked up the camera last, and as you can see, we've got a turbo on the car. This one is actually an Evo 8 stock turbo, which I picked up locally from Facebook Marketplace for 300 bucks. Now, we are going ahead with the Spartan turbo, which is gonna be a high flow, similar to the other high flow ones that are on the market. But we've got the Evo 8 on here at the moment because the previous turbo was a little bit cooked. So excuse the messy bench, but here is the old turbo. Now, although it looks fine, we've got snapped off studs in the back there, which I had to drill out, and having to tap cast iron was gonna be a bit of a mission. And then I pulled the core out of the turbo. So when I took the circlip off the back here and took the front of the compressor cover off, I noticed there was a little chip in the base of the compressor. So the compressor is the bit with the wheels here on the front. So the thing that looks like the turbine, but the turbine is actually the bit on the back. Just a little FYI. But there was a little chip in the base of it, so you could never see it through looking through there, but it was missing a chunk. So that would have been out of balance and out of whack. And I didn't want to have to drill and tap the back. So I went with a local guy, Harry. Good on you, Harry. Found it on Marketplace, actually the next suburb over. There was a couple of high flow ones which I did find as well, but they did need rebuilding for about the same price, and I thought, yeah, do that, but no, I'm gonna wait for the Spartan turbo, and we'll just run the Evo 8 one for now. It is an upgrade, and if you don't believe me that it's an upgrade, look at this. This one fits inside of that one, so it's quite a lot bigger on the compressor cover, and also in the exhaust wheel is a little bit bigger as well. This one could still be rebuilt and fixed up, but nobody got time for that. So, what have we done? We've used all genuine gaskets here. Here, I've used some stainless steel block-offs to block off the EGR gear, and we've used our zinc plated bolts from before. Just going a budget build and OEM, so they've been zinc coated. We've also got some of the other accessories already started to go on there, and a new gasket here. And you'll also see we've got the NVIDIA downpipe on. There is absolutely no way in hell I was gonna be running this one again. Just crappy, small, cast, restrictive, factory poop. We've gone with the stainless steel cast NVIDIA one. It's extremely smooth through here, high flowed, and because it is cast, it's got a really nice shape to it, and there's nothing that's going to get in the way. Unlike some of the stainless steel ones that have been made by hand, this one flows a lot better. So nice and easy. It's on there, new studs, new hardware, new gaskets all the way around, and that is on, ready to go. And thanks to Baz, we've got the new nickel plated OEM bolts, banjo bolts and lines for the water feed and return, and also the oil feed. And I've also got the oil return, but we'll put that on when we get the sump on. But let's take a look at some of the other parts which I've got in the mail. And I'm only waiting for one more thing till this whole thing can go back together. So check this out. So as you've seen, we've done the balance shaft delete kit. That was from Pro Speed Racing. Pro Speed Racing have hooked us up with some merch. We've got some stickers. I've started to put them all around the shop. We got some NVIDIA stickers as well, some Pro Speed Racing stickers. And we got a Pro Speed Racing jet tag. This is pretty cool. Actually, this one's a nice leather keyring. Very schmick, even suede. Whew. Fancy boy. We also got from Pro Speed Racing some genuine Mitsubishi gaskets. They've repackaged them because they come in a really crappy packet. So they've put them in Pro Speed Racing packaging. And we've even got a washer for the sump plug, which is also genuine. And we've got a genuine oil pump gasket, which we're going to be using that as well shortly. And also a genuine turbo feed return gasket. So that is also schmick. You've seen we had the main bearings missing the thrust bearing, and we've now got the rod bearings as well. They're from King's Racing. They look to be quite high quality. Again, I mentioned before, I've never used them, but they have quite a few extra steps of coating and protection on them to help make sure we don't spin any bearings. And there is the main cap bearings there as well. Both of those are available on the Pro Speed Racing website. There'll be a link in the description. Go check them out. Just punch in your vehicle, year, make, model, spec, and it'll have every part listed for your car on that website. It is really easy to use, really user-friendly, and the prices are awesome. Another thing that we've picked up from Pro Speed Racing as well is some Torque Solutions drive shaft bushings. So these are the tail shaft bushings. Let's open these up. Now these are billet alloy. They're a two-piece. They sort of go over the tail shaft loop like that, and then when they are bolted down, there's a little bit of a gap there, and that is solid mounted to the car, and there's no movement. The bushes that were in there were absolutely trashed. It's currently sitting up in the car now because I wanted to get it off the floor. So one by one, I'm going to swap these out and just replace those because, yeah, it was going to be moving around. We don't want that at all. One thing people might be concerned with is noise, vibration, and harshness, or NVH, with a solid alloy bushing. I've done a bit of research. It's just mounting the bracket solid to the car. As you'll know, the tail shaft loop is still rubber on the inside, so it's going to absorb any vibration or movement. This is just mounting the bracket to the chassis, so this will be awesome. I'm going to get those on very, very soon. I've also thrown on the new PROTEX water pump. As you can see, the old one was rusty and crusty, just like everything else on the car. So this guy's going in the bin. We've got a new one of these on there, and it's a PROTEX one, and we use PROTEX in all of our cars, so that is excellent. Alrighty, real quick, we've installed the solid spacers for the center bearing or the tail shaft bush, whatever you want to call it. And you can see here we've got the zinc coated bolts, and these fitted up absolutely perfectly. Just mint. Everything underneath the car is coming together so good. It's going to be such a shame that everything on top of the car is going to look like crap, but underneath you could eat off it. All right, it's time to do another mod, and this mod that we're going to do is a Turbo Smart internal wastegate upgrade. This one has all the billet parts on it, and it has a set spring at 15 PSI. So that means the minimum boost that we can run is 15 PSI. So we're going to take this out of the box now. This is made specifically for the Evos 426. And here we have it here. And the bracket and everything is all ready to go. That's going to bolt on just like this, and we're going to screw on the other part which is included, and that is the little guy that goes on the end, and lock up the nut there so it doesn't move. I do have the split pin for this, or the C pin or C clip, which is in my toolbox. I'll grab that in a second. Nip these up. So I've got the E clip or C clip, whatever you want to call the one that goes on there. It's in my toolbox. I'm going to go grab that, and I'm going to grab my 12mm, nip these up, and that's good as installed. Don't forget to connect your vacuum lines, and we're going to run that straight to the boost controller, and that is a Turbo Smart 15 PSI wastegate fitted. You can get these with a base rate of 7 PSI, or you can go all the way up. There's a couple of different options. Just like having an external wastegate and screamer pipe, I always trust Turbo Smart or Garrett to do my boost control. You never cheapen out on boost control, guys. That is the one thing that's going to definitely blow your engine if you do it incorrectly or cheap out and use cheap parts. So we've got Turbo Smart on board, and we've got the wastegate and the rod all connected up. Just those last two things, clip, bolt that down, and it's as simple as that. Really quick and easy mod, and we've got a boost increase ready for the boost controller. And that is just about going to pull us up for this episode. The next episode, I'm going to throw in the King's Racing bearings and get the bottom end back together, new rear main seal on, front main seal, get everything sealed up, do the timing belt. And then we've got the exciting part, which is the EXEDY new Evolution clutch, which is their new billet cover, all purple anodized, really sexy street clutch and light and flywheel. We've got a whole bunch of information about that for you guys, and we'll get the gearbox mated up with the clutch on the engine with the light and flywheel, and stick the engine in the car. One more thing off my garage floor. So until next time, don't forget to spool up, bring the boost, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.